All right, we're back with another Wet Your Palate. Just going to give you a little recap on the podcast we just did. We had a special guest who is still with us right now, Amanda McCrossin. Hello, Amanda. What sort of things should people expect from this podcast?
Ooh, well, first of all, there's champagne involved, which is always my kind of podcast.
Boom.
We also dive into what it's like to hear from the trolls on social media. Always a great time. Psychology of being a somm on the floor.
The beautiful, dirty world of being a somm turned influencer.
And we also get some cool, nice stories, too, of the inside of Napa Valley as well. You had a good story about your dad.
Yeah.
And
some smash or pass on some wine stuff.
Smash or pass.
It's funny. I'm kind of drawing a correlation to people who do have a singular idea that they, and then they chastise everything else. And the correlation there to being non-monogamous versus the people that have more of an open mind but are monogamous in their relationships. I could give examples, but I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. That was just a little sidebar. Intriguing
For
thoughts.
the record, I'm very open-minded and monogamous.
No, exactly. See? Now I'm just thinking all of the guys that are like, no, my style is the only style that should exist. And they're like, they're fucking around a lot.
Maybe it's because they secretly want to try all the other things. Like, I feel like, I'm 37. I'm recently engaged. I dated in my 20s. I figured out what I liked and what I didn't like. And now I don't need to be so open-minded. Like, I know what I enjoy.
So it's almost like they're self-limiting to a point where they need an outlet outside of their professional career. This is getting into some like
I know,
wine bondage.
This is getting kind of like meta and philosophical. But I respect someone with an opinion, and I do think I think that's an admirable quality to have a hill that you're going to die on that really means something to you. Like, I respect that all day long, and I think we need more people like that who are very, very dedicated to what they do, and they have a song to sing and they have something to say. And I think that, that's a Pied Piper effect that brings people in the fold. But you do the same thing. Like, and this is what I've always respected about the fact that what you do, which is you put yourself out there and you're not afraid to make fun of yourself and you're not afraid to speak your truth and like just acknowledge the fact that like, yeah, not everybody likes me, but like I am who I am. So like either hop on board or like follow somebody else. Like we don't all need to be here for the same show. You can go to another theater.
Yeah.
True.
That's a good point.
Do you have any other suggestions for people that are getting into this? Because I just think your story is so great that you can say, I did not come from a wine background, but you've been so impactful in the industry. And especially, I think social is important, being a wine influencer, because we're actually reaching all the generations, Gen Zers, right? We're looking at them coming in 21 to about 26. Do you have any suggestions of people that want to get into this? How they could do it, even if they don't have a wine background.
To be a wine influencer?
A wine influencer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough question. I guess first and foremost, like we all think that we have thick skin and a tough backbone until somebody tells you your forehead's too big, right?
Oh, God.
No.
And then you're like, oh, there's like a lot of things that I had to come to terms with. So but I also came from like a theater and like background.
But people
and
really talk
a ballet dancer. So like I was used to criticism, but like seeing it on the internet is like a whole different breed of ick. So I mean, there's that component. But
Sure.
the other thing is like, I think going into it knowing that you are not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. They get to move on. This is your show. This is your channel, and this is your moment to like tell your story and add value. And I think you also have to figure out, if you're going to be a wine influencer, like, what do you stand for? What's important to you? Do you want to add value, or do you just want to showcase your life? Because those are two very different things. Like if you look at content across the board, there are those who show their lives and they do it for this voyeuristic thing, which was never really my deal, but like it works for some people. And I do watch that kind of content. And then you have like other content that's value add, where every video there offers something of value that's educational, or maybe that you didn't know before. And so that's kind of where I live. And I think if you're going to be a wine influencer, you have to figure out where you're going to be, and are you going to take a stand? Are there particular topics that are fly zones or no fly zones for you? And I think establishing that early on is important. And then also the other biggest thing is not being afraid to iterate and like just take a deep breath, step back for a few days or a few weeks if you have to, change course if you feel like that's what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, I've been doing this for 8 years and my content's changed a lot, and it's changed according to what people want. It's changed according to what the platforms have dictated, right? Like when I started, Instagram had no video. It was all just stills, and I was making video on YouTube at the time. So I already had that set of skills. But, you know, as platforms iterate and TikTok comes on board, like I think you have to be willing to put yourself out there, and you have to be willing to change when the times demand it. That's the thing that I see with creators not doing, and I think it hurts them. Like they get stuck in this one lane, and then they don't know what to do when things shift a little bit.
I have seen.
I think, but I'm a creative at heart, so I love the shift. Yeah. I live for that.
I have seen that you have you've definitely adapted and evolved over time. Looking back into your social media and what you were doing, and that is, you know, not just a product of you having an open mind and being able to do that and look at yourself in the mirror and say like, what do I need to adjust, but also listening to the people that are enjoying your content and what's working, and you know what's actually hitting, what's not hitting, and I think that's a great point there. I mean, and you know, and that'll give you confidence in saying, as a creator, that you can continue to move forward and not pigeonhole yourself by saying that a slight difference or even a major difference can yield positive results and reach more people. But I do want to go back to the being thick-skinned part of it. So I just think it's funny that people are making fun of physical appearance, which is ridiculous. No, I mean,
are you surprised, dude?
Well, I'm not surprised when they give me shit for my physical appearance. But no, like, what are the criticisms that you get?
Well, we've talked about one, pronunciation is a big one, especially on TikTok, because I find it's a more international audience. I mean, appearance is always, you know, sometimes like people, like I had like one guy that was like, you look like a nurse in a nursing home or something. But you know, it also happens when like your videos go viral. Like I find that when my videos like perform as they normally do, like it's fine. But it's when they reach these unintended circles that shit sort of goes off the rails and you reach this audience. But I think the best comment that I ever got was, "You look like my ex-girlfriend and I hate you for it." And I'll let you laugh at it. But here's what I'll say, and this is what I tell everyone when they get bad comments. This is like 90% of like why people leave you comments or why people don't like you, is because you remind them of someone or maybe themselves, something that they don't like. Like it's usually something, and I can't control that. Like I can't control the fact that I remind you of your mom or your ex-girlfriend or your sister who was mean to you. Like I cannot control that. And that is kind of what puts me to sleep at night, is knowing that like, you're going to like what you're going to like, and you're going to hate what you're going to hate. And there's literally nothing I can do about it.
Well, I've
but
learned,
it was such a perfect comment.
That's it. That is it. But it also, I will also say that it took the proof of you know, getting a post out there for me to embrace the haters. So you know, at first it was like I was never in social media. I was actually always very much kind of against it personally, up until the pandemic, and then we saw it as a vehicle. And pandemic was pretty hard for us. I mean, being focused in the restaurant world, it was something we had to really change course and figure things out. Yeah. Social media was part of it, like outreach, and I got comfortable with it. But the first hate comments like kind of hit hard, and you're like, wait, like why am I even putting myself out there? And the old 1 to 10 ratio of like, it takes 10 positive comments to negate one, you know, negative. But then you see that those negatives are, you know, and then it causes a little bit of like a stir in the comments, people going against each other. And then it just like that's when it blows up, and that's when your reach increases for that post. And so learning not just that that sort of battle in the comments section and the shit talking drives viewership to a broader audience, but then realizing that, oh, we can answer back to these things. So if somebody's misguided, it's like, great, another step in education. Like, hey,
thanks for feeding the algorithm. Like,
yeah.
Your own...
But and then we can answer another question and be like, no, I understand how you took that, but here's the realities of it. And it's just continued education. And I feel that we are like pulling people in and having them understand that, like, no, number one, there's real people behind this stuff. And number two, before you spout your mouth off, you got to get, your facts straight. And we're here to help you. If you want to learn, we'll answer back.
Yeah. Yeah. People like to run their mouth in the wine world for sure. And outside the wine world too. But I think it goes back to somms, right? It goes back to this idea that like people are going to say what they're going to say, and they are not fully informed when they say it. So
yeah. Yep.
Ask the question if you've got the question, but just know that I think when it comes from a good place, I'm always willing to dive in. And you can read the room, like, when a question feels genuine, but if the question does not feel genuine, I'm not re-engaging, because it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't have whatever that gene is that you have that you can like clap back. I don't have that. I have the like, I'm here to educate and I'm here to like move the needle, but I have no interest in getting into fights with people. It makes me very, very uncomfortable, and mentally I can't. There's only so much I can take.
Well, there's no reason to do it either. I mean, it's sometimes I think
there's merit in it. I think you doing it is a good thing. I think you do need to do it if you're going to put yourself out there the way that you have. I think there's
keep
value
doing
in that.
She could just press the block button. Block.
But I'm not a confrontational person by nature either. But it's that's one of those things where like you do it every now and then, and I don't know. It's uncomfortable, but there's also joy in being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I have an album full of like screenshotted comments. I highly recommend, because they're very funny in retrospect. Like if you can move past,
I bet we should do that.
Feel initially, they're good. And my sister and I send her the comments first, and we always kind of get a kick out of it.
But wait, this is awesome. I actually really like this, because it's almost, if in my opinion, it kind of sounds like some good therapy too. Like if you to keep creating, right, and to kind of push yourself through, like to actually embrace the bad comments with people that you trust and love of your tribe. I mean, in your case, your sister, right? So I actually think that's a great thing to bring up for people, like to collect.
We should do it. This is not a solo show. I mean, it is, but like, have a support system, because you will need it. Like this is a mentally draining exercise or job if this is your full-time gig, and it sometimes there are dark moments, and like I think people on social media talk about it more than they used to, but like I have, like, I would say even this week, like I had a week where I was just like, nope, I don't have it. I can't put it out there. I can't absorb it. I'm going to go work in the yard for the week, and I'm going to brainstorm all the content that I'm going to start to make on Monday. But like, I don't have the energy to put out content and deal with what I'm going to get back. And to me, that's okay. Like I've set up my business where that's okay. Like I can take those chunks of time off, and I'm gonna be all right. But I still struggle with like the guilt of not posting.
That's great.
I like it.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a little.
So we're gonna jump into a little.
We're gonna change something a little. Yeah. So
is this where it gets really good? Are we going off the rails soon?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I know. She wants to go off the rails, man.
Have you ever played Smash or Pass?
Sober? No. I feel like somewhere in my drunken memory of that may have happened. Remind me, what is Smash or Pass?
So have you ever been on Tinder?
Okay, got it. Noted. Got it. Smash
Swipe left.
I'd hit that or I'd pass. Got
Swipe
it.
right.
Say no more.
Smash or Pass. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna call out some terms here, and then all you have to do is say smash or pass. We can come back and revisit them if we want to get a little more detail of to what your likes and dislikes are. So yeah, it's simply smash or pass. I don't even know where that term came from. That's a Gen Z term, right?
I mean, you did a smash or pass video.
Well, I didn't necessarily do it. I was told to do it.
See, this is where We have these problems too. He could
have a
always blame his
team.
social team. He's like they
I will
tell me
always
to
I
do
will
this.
always blame you.
Okay.
Always.
Well, that's what, I'm actually your support. We just went through this. I'm your therapist.
You are, yeah, you are my therapist.
I help you. I hold you when you're crying.
Yeah, you shaved your mustache. I can take you seriously now.
Oh.
We're just on the same hair cycle. I
You
know.
guys have synced cycles.
You wanted
Yeah.
to go off the rails. I'm
When
trying
you
to
spend
get
it,
us
when
out.
you
I'm
spend
ready.
a lot of
Let's do it.
when you
Sync your
spend enough
cycles,
time
buddy. Let's
together,
do it.
you end up on the same cycles, right? So
Like
yeah,
our hair.
we're on the same hair cycle.
That's what I'm saying. All right.
All right, here we go.
do this?
Smash or pass. Organic wines.
Smash.
Alternative aging, such as concrete tanks or stainless.
Smash. Like light smash. Like I
Like
go in one
like
day.
would be smash. Low alcohol wines.
Pass. I don't. I mean, like, does it have? See, this is like the somm on me. That's
Well,
like low
yeah,
alcohol
well-
that has residual sugar, and it's a great German Riesling. Like smash. But if it's like low alcohol because it's
No,
some
like
celebrity that's like
we're
it's
talking
low alcohol.
we're talking better for you adulterate. Well, okay,
Oh no,
yeah.
hard pass.
Okay.
Hard
Yeah.
pass.
Okay.
Pass the
Tastes
last.
like kale.
Technology and innovation in winemaking versus traditional. Smash. Okay. Canned wine.
Smash.
CBD infused wine.
Pass.
Cryo extraction.
Define. I'm scrolling for details.
Freezing fruit to maximize extraction.
Oh. I don't. How's the wine taste? I don't know.
It tastes like Belgloss. That was a little tricky one, huh? I almost got you.
I'm gonna pass.
She still passed. I'll pass. Okay.
Awesome.
Wine on tap.
Smash.
The
These are not all universal smashes, by the way. It's not all good.
You're very open.
Okay,
Like-
Kirkland brand wines.
Oh, it really depends, but some of those are smashes.
Okay.
The Rioja, the Cornas,
Yeah,
the Prosecco
yeah.
is actually good.
There are some good ones. Wine seltzers.
Pass.
Okay. Do you have any others?
Non-intervention winemaking.
Or low intervention winemaking.
Who's making it? I mean, do
Let-
they have
let's-
clean facilities?
Let's not have her. She can't take a side on that one.
Oh, okay.
But she did just tell me she doesn't like Belgloss.
I
I
You know what, Joe? I actually I don't dislike it. Some of those single vineyards are very beautiful, and I do like them, but it's not a wine that I'm drinking every day.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh, actually, and one last one. Well, East Coast. Because I'm just really curious. I know.
East Coast, like in general. You mean like
Yeah.
the area
Well,
to live?
because she just moved from the West Coast.
But
to
she
the
grew
East
up
Coast.
on the East Coast.
I know. So still, I'm curious.
I did. I moved from the West Coast to the East Coast in December, like an animal, and I regretful choice to move in the winter to
Yeah.
yeah.
You said no.
I really like it. I'm smashing it for now, but I do desperately miss California. And they like, you know what I miss is like the California light and also the consistency of weather, like in Northern California, not in Napa Valley. Like you walk outside and you're like, this is pretty much the weather that it's going to be all day with like a diurnal shift. Like I'm good with that. But this idea that like we can get a random rain shower in the middle of the afternoon, like who has time for this? This is exhausting. I can't plan my day around this.
I totally
You know,
agree. That's
you guys
what-
are looking at me like I'm crazy. You don't have hair like this. You don't have outfits to contend with. You don't have shoes. I can't wear Blundstones every day. You know?
Hey,
Hey,
that's
I don't
that's
wear
the
those.
but that is,
I don't wear those.
But that's the truth. And I turned 40 a couple years ago, so I moved over to Timberlands. So
yeah.
What does that have to do with being 40?
I don't know. It's a thing apparently. Yeah. All right. So I do.
You
I
get
do
a
want
pair of
to.
Timbs when you turn 40?
I think so. It's like the Bluntstones, like they wear down too much for me, and they don't really have like really good non-stick or non-slip
I thought
for like
you
the
were.
cellar.
I thought you were into the Western cowboy boot. Like, weren't you doing a thing? With
Whenever
like
I go out, so most of the
boot
time,
company?
you saw me, I'd be dressed up because it'd be at press, and so I'd wear cowboy boots. But you Usually,
because your wife always looked like she was dressed to the nines, so like you have to step up your game.
exactly. It's really hard to match that.
I was actually curious.
She is very. I mean, she's not high maintenance. She's high maintenance for herself. But
I'm okay with high maintenance. I'm a smash on high maintenance.
Yeah.
but dude, trying to like
Dude, you're a lucky
trying to
guy.
keep up with that shit. Oh my god.
You're so lucky.
You're right. I would always. She'd always come in. She always looked perfect. She was always like. She just like she like
yeah.
aired this perfection. I was like, God
Yeah.
damn. I was like, this woman gets ready every single time she comes to press. I can barely brush my teeth.
That's how I feel.
I was actually thinking, do you guys remember the very first time that you met?
I don't.
Ooh, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. It must have been a good.
I don't think I never embarrassed myself at press, did I? I've actually, yeah. No.
No, plenty of other people did, but you were not one
Yeah,
of them.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I saved that for other places.
God, that was a moment in time that like I don't think will ever be recreated, because it was like, the wine list was really inexpensive, and so people would come in like from the vineyard and they'd like sit down, they drink crazy bottles of wine, and then like things would often go off the rails, and it was such a fun place to work because you really got to see people's personalities, and it often sort of like resembled their wines and like their winemaking techniques. And so I would associate different people with like how they made their wine, and it was so insightful. And I think this goes back to like how I was able to form my own opinions, was like I got to see how they behave in public, and sometimes it was great, and sometimes it was like your wife is right there and you're swiping on Tinder, like this is inappropriate.
Well, is there any one story that might stand out that you could share? I mean, we could bleep names.
No names unless it's my brother.
Oh.
Unless
it's my brother, you can let us know if it's him.
Oh no, your brother is always great. You're there's no bad stories about your dad, but actually one of my favorite things about your dad is can we talk about your dad?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is not an off the rails story. I'll try to find an off the rails story. But one of my favorite things about your dad would come in at least once a week, and invariably someone in the restaurant would have a bottle of Camus on the table, because they're in Napa, right? They're at Disney. They have to see Mickey Mouse. So your dad, anytime someone would sit down at the restaurant and they'd have a bottle of Camus, your dad would always, didn't matter where he was in his meal, he would always get up from the table. He'd go over, shake their hands, talk to them. Thank you so much. Here's my card. It has my cell phone on it. And like, it made people feel like they were the only people in Napa Valley. And it was such a moment every time it happened where I was like, see, this is what success looks like. This is why people love brands like Camus. It's because of, this hand-to-hand comment. But people going off the rails, I mean, we've kicked people out. There was one time where a vintner didn't like the price of his wine and the menu, and so he asked to drink it and not pay for it and replace it the following day. That was classy.
Man, I know the stuff you see in the restaurant world. I was in the restaurant world for a little bit, and I would never go back. It's a wild one, but I do want to.
It's so wild. It's such a vibe.
I do want to go back to the point you made about my dad going up to tables, and because I think that's a huge thing for any winemakers listening. That goes such a long way, and it does also tell that customer that, there like truly there are people and stories and passion behind these products. But so my dad, I think he's old enough to be able to go up to a table and people are like, this must be Chuck Wagner. I've never seen him. I could be in New York. I do the same thing, but like I'll be in another city and I'll walk up if I see like Bell Gloss on a table or Quilt or something, and they're like, everybody's like, no, I'll be like, I just wanted to come over and say thank you very much for ordering this wine. I make the wine and whatever else, and I'll generally either purchase the bottle for them or purchase their meal and not say anything and just leave. And then, but they always have the same thing. They're like, you're joking, right? Like, I think I just need a little more like age or something. But yeah, it's like I'd say like 75% of the time nobody believes it.
They don't think that it's you.
No, they don't. I'm like, no, that's my name on the back. It's Joseph Wagner.
I'll show you my.
It's a
show you my idea. That's so funny.
Do you have the same problem with or without
it means
facial
so
hair?
much to people, though.
So that's one of the reasons I grew the beard. I'm not kidding. It's hard to get respect in this business if you don't have like if there's not the perception of maturity.
Yeah.
I lied to everybody.
Are you sure that's what it is?
I
can
lied.
tell the guys in the. I just want to tell you, like, our tech guys are big fans of yours.
Yeah.
Because you crack them up
Yeah.
every time you say something. It's awesome.
So I lied about my age from more or less 21 to the time I was 30. And that was, I just
And
told
you said you were older.
I told everybody I was 30 until I was actually 30.
Wow.
And because, I mean, you'd walk into a restaurant and I'd be like, yeah, I'm 21 and I'm making wine. And they're like, you don't know anything then. So like you needed this clout. That was actually a tactic that was given to me by Austin Hope. And he's like, because he was maybe 10 years my senior, and great guy, by the way. And he's like, look, you're never gonna be taken seriously if you tell people you're in your 20s. And so that was it.
That's so funny.
But I feel
felt
like
that way as a somm though. And I think part of it was just, when you're blonde and a female, it's like you look like Elle Woods trying to pass the bar. But
I was gonna say we know that you have clout. You have the smarts, the training, the abilities, and everything. But I could imagine that's something you go to work with every day as a somm, where people are just going to be like, judge a book by its cover, and it's a shitty feeling, right? And that was kind of
yeah, but it happens to you, it happens to me, it happens to everybody,
Yeah.
right? There's a certain perception that we have of people who work in the industry, and maybe neither of us embodies what that is for some people, and that's okay. To me, that's always been a leg up. Maybe not in your situation, but in my situation, it was like, all right, well, the bar's set pretty low, so
I look
we
at
can
it as,
only improve from here.
Well, I look at it as a leg up because when people come in with the lowest of expectations, right?
Right.
And you over deliver beyond what your competitive set is, if you want to call it that, from a in the somm world, right? You can over deliver as a somm, and people are like, oh man, I really misjudged that one, and then not only do they overly respect you, I think it starts to break down those walls of their judgment in the future.
Yeah.
So
The thing that nobody tells you about being a somm is that, like, it's such a game of psychology. Like, you're trying to assess people by looking at them, with no information, and you go into it effectively blind unless the server tells you something. But like, you're always looking for little cues from what watch they're wearing to, like, you'll ask like, hey, like, what hotel are you staying at? Where are you visiting from? And like, those are things that have always like set me up for success. But mostly, like, you can figure out in a split second in that game of psychology of like what they think about you. And that's also the information that I'm trying to pick up on.
God, now I want to become a somm. I mean, this actually sounds pretty fun.
Whoa.
It's fascinating. It was such a cool job.
That sounds. I've never heard that perspective from a somm. That sounds like a lot of fun. And I love
especially a somm at a restaurant like Press, where you're selling Napa Cab in the heart of Napa Valley, and
you're dealing with a very broad spectrum of high functioning humans from throughout the world. I bet, yeah.
No, not high functioning. That's the thing about Napa. Well, this in Napa Valley, like, people will go there year after year, or they're going to save their entire life savings to go there once. And so that was always the picnic basket that was in Press, was like a combination of people that, like, they scrounged together what they had, and this meal counts. And then you also had the guys that were like, no, we do this all the time. Like, and you had to figure out what they wanted. And that was the psychology that you had to play, was like, are they here because this is a once in a lifetime meal and you need to meet and exceed those expectations based on their budget? Or is this a situation where these guys are just trying to impress their clients, and like, money is no object, the more they spend, the better? And it sounds, that's a really difficult, especially because most of us didn't come from money. And so I didn't know that people spent more than $40 on a bottle of wine. And so you're trying not to put on your preferences and what you would spend on a bottle onto them. Like, you kind of have to take yourself out of the equation. It's such a fascinating mind game that they don't teach you in the quartermaster sommeliers.
I was just going to ask.
Have to learn.
I was just going to ask if they teach you in the quartermaster sommelier. They don't teach you the selling and psychological. Wow, that's a big miss on their part.
No, that's fully iterative. Like, and that's where having a great mentor is so important. And like, knowing what vibe you want, because it's very different working at a steakhouse versus like you know, not that Press wasn't fine dining, but like, you know, a 3 Michelin, so like working in the French Laundry is very different than working at Press, which is very different than working at Bistro Gentil. Like there are different vibes, and you, as a somm, you kind of have to figure out like what vibe do you want, because they're very different. And for me, like I loved selling in that way on the floor. Like I loved touching tables all the time. I loved the fact that it was fine dining and it was elevated, but there was also this like comfortability aspect. It was a steakhouse. Everybody could see each other. People felt comfortable walking to different tables. So I think that's really important if you're going to go that trajectory, is to like figure out who you want to mentor you, because I loved the psychology game and I loved working with someone who could teach me that.
Count me in.
Yeah.
Go do it. Go stash somewhere.
Yeah. Love what you're doing out there. Love that we can collaborate. Love that we have a similar idea as far as bringing the community of wine drinkers, wine producers, distributors, everybody together. And thank you for sending me this beautiful bottle of grower champagne. So
yeah,
I gotta go find another bottle of DDA Dagenau now. Send over to you.
Yeah, I do have one question for you.
Oh yeah.
Before we go, are you having fun doing social? I know this is not something that was comfortable pre-2020, but it looks like you're having fun doing it. Is that like a put on, or are you like?
No, I actually like, I don't act at all, as far as like, you know, I don't try to put on a different persona or anything. You get me at face value, whether you see me in the streets or you know, you are my best friend, whatever it is. But so I do enjoy it. It's been great. I do get a lot of enjoyment out of knowing we're reaching people. You know, and I think that that's a big part of it. It's like I could do it all day long in the market, right? I can hit 10 accounts a day, do wine lunches, wine dinners, whatever, and you're able to touch people and get them to understand what we're doing. But this is just a broader spectrum of that, and you know, yeah, it's different because it's not all tech talk. It's all, you know, it's a mix of some of the tech behind what we do, but then it's also kind of like, what do people want to see? What intrigues them? And you know, we got to be creative with that stuff. And I also think that it, you know, I hope that we're leading the charge in getting other producers to let themselves out there and not take what they're doing so seriously. And, you know, we got to let people know that wine is not an elitist product, right? Wine is something that should be enjoyed by everybody every day, elevating food, elevating your experience. And we're not doing enough of a service for our industry, and I think for the customers at the end of the day, by making wine pretentious. I think that's our miss. So I am having fun doing it. Got a great group around us too that does a ton of work, and we'll continue to evolve. But no, I enjoy it.
I'm so grateful that you put yourself out there and you do it, because I think it brings a lot of people in who might be otherwise intimidated. And I think some people see themselves in you, right? Like you're just, you know, you're a fun loving guy, having a good time, making wine, doing what he loves.
You can enjoy life and also take your world and your you know, work seriously. And you know, like that's, I think if people looked at certain clips of whatever I've done, they'd be like, oh, this guy's just you know, screwing around all the time. And it's like, no, I've actually got, you know, a big business, 140 employees, 6 kids, 5 dogs. Like it's like a lot of real responsibilities, but there are times like you can't just be in a corner and taking yourself too seriously. So, and I think you do the same thing. It's you've got to have some levity to life.
Yeah. I take what I do seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. And that's the key to what I do. Thanks.
And also, I want to make sure, though, too, if you don't mind, Amanda, if we get a quick plug on your podcast, if you guys want to talk about that real quick, I think that'd be great to end with that. And then anything else, handles and stuff like that people could follow you, because you're awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, so the podcast is called Wine Access Unfiltered. It's affiliated with actually the place that sent you the wines, where you can find the champagne, wineaccess.com. And my social is Somm Vivant, SOMMVIVANT. It's a play on Bon Vivant, because I didn't think that wine lives in a vacuum. I think it's the enjoyment of all things life and wine from my sommelier perspective. So it's Somm Vivant on Instagram. And then on TikTok, there's an underscore between Somm and Vivant. And I think that's it. I'm around. You'll see me at a whole bunch of festivals this year. So I'll be at Aspen, Food and Wine, and then some others that are about to be announced very soon.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Amanda. Look forward to seeing you back out in Napa whenever you come. Don't be a stranger. And whenever you want to collaborate, let us know.
Will do. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Amanda. Cheers.
Cheers.